everybody, very glad to have John and Bill here from Apollo. John is the owner of Apollo, and Bill is the general manager, engineering, manufacturing, design guru that has helped us with the products. I'll go a little bit into the saga of this filter right here in a little bit, but gentlemen, really appreciate you all coming and getting our sales meeting. I wanted everybody to be able to put names with faces, that may hear, getting quotes and things like that. Both Bill's been extremely helpful getting back on pricing, engineering, changing designs for customers. So we wanted to tell you all thank you, appreciate it. And I'll let you all sit down, but I do want to go introduce people around the room that are significant for our different areas and different customers. So everybody needs to have a 10-minute presentation on your area for how you're going to have filtration for this year. I'll start with a little bit of background on the Apollo filter. Going on 2.5, almost 3 years ago, we had a customer request. It's One Gas in Tulsa. Had a manufacturer for filters that was unable to meet their demands. And their purchasing from that company actually came to us and said, we need you to find a filter for us. Not something that we thought, we're Mooney regulators and meters and things like that. So, but our answer is always yes, we can do that. And what we did some research and found locally Apollo filters out of Broken Arrow. And went to them and said, do you all think you can do this? And they have some history in the filtration, especially in the pipeline industry. And we needed a compact design, 175-pound rated filter, called it a mini. And we began about a 2-year saga of getting this. Customer asked for it, we found somebody who can build it. Through the whole design, testing process, Bill was there. Our constant changes, whether we wanted to change the design, the makeup, the filter through the testing process. Brent was very helpful with the Kansas testing lab with One Gas. We were able to come up with a product that met the requirements, passed the testing process, the engineering approval process, materials approval committee, the mythical materials approval committee at a large utility, and came up with a product. I don't think anybody in the country would have been able to do that we considered it a long time, but it was actually 1.5 almost 2 years to get that done, but we did it. And it's a product that's now spec'd in and we're going to use. And we're stocking these for One Gas and other customers around the country. And so I want to say thank you. It was a lot of hard work and a lot of faith in us that we came to you and said, we have a product we need. Can you help us with this? And you did. And we're going to be successful going forward with this product because it fills a lot of needs in the industry, and it goes well above and beyond what any competitor has as far as quality, design, and application, and ease of use. So I have a quick presentation to go over very quickly the different products. Most of our team is familiar with the products that we carry from Apollo. The GFT series is the main one. Now, we're going to get up and do a little field trip here in a minute. I've got a display out in the warehouse. I want everybody to see everything that can be connected up to the filter. But just a brief background on this. We focus mostly on the 2 through 12-inch filtration range. That's what we deal with. We deal with larger. And Bill, what's the largest you all made?
We kind of have to settle about 12 is for our capacity, lifting capacity.
But when in your shop, I've seen, what's the largest, say, separator type filter you guys have run?
The largest filter I ever ran was about 12,500 pounds. It had a 24-inch inlet nozzle, 24-inch outlet with a 40-inch vessel, 1.5 inches thick.
So let's talk about this part right here was 40 inches across. The inlet the inlet was 24 inches across. So, and you just throw the back of your pickup and go deliver it to the job site, right? If we get a chance, and if we have time, we've been on tour of their facility many times. They always welcome us to come over there and bring customers. We brought customers over there. But if you get a chance, go over there and see their facility. It's quite impressive when you see these large, even it's a 12-inch filter being welded and fitted, and all the engineering that goes into that for these different pipeline applications. But again, we are primarily dealing with dry gas filters, somewhat coalescing filters, where coalescing means you can help liquids and hydrocarbon, whatever it is, drop out of the filtration out of the pipeline to keep protected from going downstream into our measurement or regulation devices. But Casey, we've got some large customers that have come on board. Those Atmos, Centerpoint are the ones that like the design. They like the responsiveness of our manufacturer. Our lead times are excellent, and we build a good quality product. You know, when you first go into a large utility, first thing is, well, we need you to do this, we need you to do that, we need this documentation. And very rarely have I had any problems saying, this is what we need, and the next day that paperwork is on our desk ready to go to the customer. They are an ASME code rated shop, so the documentation and record requirements for the filters they manufacture are on file and are stored according to requirements. And so nothing but good things to say about them. So a lot of options available on the 2 through 12 inch ANSI 150, 300, 600 class. If your customer asks for it, we can build it. There's nothing we've asked for so far that they haven't been able to accommodate, say, yes, we can do this. And Bill, what do you think current lead time on 4-inch filter is? 150 class
These guys, about 4 weeks,
Okay.
4 to 6 weeks, we try to get around for.
In all this, I'm just highlighting, I've got our website pulled up, but all this literature that I'm showing quickly through this presentation is available on our website to direct customers to, for you to download, share. But just some quick reference, guys. Obviously, they've got their ASME code stamps. Big difference, and this is what I do want to highlight. Our competitors are using, for something like this, are using a cast body out of China to get in the same price range that we're working on. This is not a cast body. This is a welded, inspected product built here locally, domestically, but it's actually locally that we can get and take care of the customer. Go ahead,
I just didn't want to point out, you were talking about the lead time. If they tell you 4 to 6 weeks, it's 4 to 6 weeks, and not like some manufacturers we deal with that tell you 4 to 6 weeks, which means they'll get to it in 4 to 6 weeks. You know what I'm saying? It's not, so we have that's been one nice thing, is because, you know, you make promises to your customers, and they certainly back up what they tell you.
So again, we have all this literature available if you want to share with customers, but our basic sizes that we typically run into, which for us typically 2 through 6 inch is what we're going to sell, 150 through 600 class. Dimensions, ratings, weight, all that are available in any of our literature. This is the literature for Mini. Drew created this literature, but this specifically for our Mini filter, which is a bit not real small, but this is what we're calling the Mini. So it is it was designed for one gas, but we found other applications for it. It's for our LDC, typically under 100-pound pressure delivery that they need to protect every site. A lot of the LDCs, every commercial set they put on, they put a filter. The Apollo filter needs to go on, and you can recommend it to anybody. Protect the regulators, protect their measurement devices. It's just, as Jeff says, it's cheap insurance going downstream. You know.
It also dimensionally fits where there's some other brands that have been out there a long time. See them a lot in this part of the country, see them a lot, certainly on the West Coast. I haven't really noticed as much. I mean, I don't travel back east, but dimensionally it all fits, so it's not like they got to redesign anything to put them in, which that's really nice.
We worked hard to come up with this, just some features that this blew me away with Bill's design. But just this feature right there with 10 bolt, and the bolts don't drop in the dirt, was a huge. I can't tell you how many customers go, wow, that is a really cool design. I always drop, the washer or the nut off there or the bolt. Then they have to make sure they clean it off, try to find it, put it in there. But
And how many bolts is in that bolt on one? Not our.
Oh, so a minimum of 4
Right.
small bolts on here. This one, but this design, they'll say, hey, we should add this too when we were going through the design process. But I can't tell you how many positive comments we got over this design that they just fall away when you change your filter element. Change out your filter element, plate back on, nut back on. You've just completed your annual maintenance. And you're done. So I take a lot of pride in this. We worked really hard to get this in the system. We need to make sure we're sharing this in our areas across the country. We also have this, we can get this in a flange version. Most of our customers, the vast majority, have asked for a threaded version because that's how their sets. Commercial sets are built, they're not welded sets, they're threaded sets.
For this size.
For this size, for the 2-inch mini, they wanted a threaded, but we do have a flanged option that we can sell as well.
So on the screen.
Yeah. So it's a 150 class filter with the DPI kit. We quote, and the casing back me up, the majority of the time to an Atmos or center point, it's something you want to put on there. We always put it on. I don't care what filter it is. We're going to put it on as a line item as DP kit. They wanted to have this on there. And can anybody tell me what the maximum DP across the filter you'd want to see is?
2 or less.
Very good. Somebody listen. Good job, Natalie.
What was it? 2 or less.
So, but this is something that the customer can put on. Very simple device. Just you can come take a look at it. But it has a maximum. It'll tell you what the maximum differential that was seen across the filter was. But it gives them an idea from outside to be able to know when to change that filter or take a look. Something has happened inside this filter from when it was new. It shouldn't have, the DP should not be increasing unless the element is getting clogged, liquids are building up inside, but it's a very good visual indicator from the outside. It saves them time and effort of taking the top off, just as random, but they can check and see, are we having differential problems across this filter? And I will tell you the situation. We had a local town during the whole ice storm that called and thought they were having measurement problems. Then their pressure started losing pressure in their town. They ended up having only 4 pounds coming into the town. Lost the town. Josh and I were out there. Well, come to find out, their supplier wasn't having regulator problems. They had a completely clogged filter, and they were not flowing gas from their custody transfer point 5 miles down the road to the town. That's what it was. It was a clogged filter with ice and liquid and other stuff that was going through it. But they didn't have any indication on the outside that something like this, the guys could have walked up, they're looking at regulators, what's failing at the site, looked up at DP was paid. But they didn't have an indicator. I guarantee you their filters going forward will have DP indicators on them because it would have saved them a large amount of time and potentially kept their downstream customer online.
So, Mark, what happens progressively is if they don't change the element and they continue to see increased differential from inlet to outlet of that filter?
They're restricting, it's a restrictor, they're restricting the flow downstream to their customer or to their process, whether the industrial plant or customer downstream. You're restricting the flow, and eventually it can get bad enough where you're going to destroy that filter element and you're not filtering anything. At some point, they can either collapse or explode, and you've lost your filtration. It may go back to looking good, and that's why you want to have the indicator on there what the maximum was. But I've seen it where the filters were just blown out the sides. It
Well,
got
then
so
you're sending debris downstream.
Yeah, and you send debris downstream and go from there.
The other thing, that we get into, you see technicians that are have bigger areas, they have less people, and as those get bigger in size, you got a guy on a ladder trying to unbolt that, take that top off of those. They don't want to have to do that.
Unless they have to.
Yeah, unless they have to. And the bigger the filters get, the more work that is for a technician. Then you got 2 technicians out there. That's just like, as Mark said, that's an easy way for them to kind of reference that.
And probably one other thing, as we sell these filters, we're obviously going to ask to put in the DP kit on these. It's also good to give them an additional filter for their next maintenance opportunity. So
we're stocking the filter elements for everything we sell. We have the ability to get them very quickly, but as Tim said, that was kind of our add-on. You may want to go ahead and send out an element with every filter we sell because they're going to forget a year down the road, but they will have one on the shelf. It's an inexpensive insurance item. They've already purchased the filter. The elements are at minimal cost compared to even the expense of the filter. Go ahead and have one. If they don't, as long as they're kept on a shelf and dry, they don't go out of date. It's just a fabric and steel mesh filter. So sell them an extra one so they've got it on hand if they need it.
you guys start thinking about the cost of installation, we talk about this all the time, about the materials being a small portion, but the total cost of any job installation, right? I mean, it's less than 10% of the total cost of a typical job. But then think about what we're doing with the measurement sets. I mean, you've got some very expensive products now. Think about the cost of the Mooney regulators. Think about the cost of the ultrasonic meters. Think about the relief valves. Think about all the costs, and for a few $100, I can give you the best protection, much more so than other devices like cheap, inexpensive drop-in screens, or even strainers to a certain extent that have the wrong element in them. This gives you the maximum protection for those expensive items along the way. And again, if you start talking about the possibilities, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, your long-term costs far out, or the long-term savings far outweighs the short-term additional expense.
And we've even seen it help, especially at gate stations for a lot of these communities. It helps everything in their system. You know, what's coming into that system, you're now taking it and cleaning it up before it gets to all the other products, not just that measurement or regulation set as you enter into the system. So, again, they can be a very valuable tool for protecting those expensive components of their distribution system.
Any questions?